us by our very own Tekka Socken. It's around 243 million around the time that this video is made, but it should be able to pay itself off. So we have lasers, a cloak, just in case someone tries to gank me, and a core probe launcher to scan, obviously. Cap rechargers to make it cap stable, afterburner instead of MWD to help it sig tank. Small armor rep, and it's going to be dead space because it reps more and it reps more EHP. And then I use Bling Enom and a Bling Adaptive Nano and Bling plates, so that it's tankier. A heat sink for more damage, auxiliary nano pump for more tank, a cap control circuit to make it for more cap, a small ancillary current router for fitting, 16 core scanner probes for obviously scanning down things, and when you carry 16 you don't have to, it'll automatically reload. 4 times Aurora for sniping rats, 4 Imperial Navy Standard small for engaging rats at the mid-range, and 8 Gleam. This is going to be your workhorse ammo, and it's for melting rats at close range. I also bring along 4 salvagers to refit too. And I bring 1 mobile depot and 2 MTUs so that I can rat and then wait for the first MTU to clean up and then refit to salvage. And that's the fit. Alright, so now you warp to a anomaly. In my case, I warp to a perimeter hangar. The first thing I'm going to do, since I'm cap stable, is going to turn my wrapper on. I'm going to launch the MTU for it. And this is a C2 site, so I shouldn't have to be that worried about the rats. But I bookmark the MTU. And I start shooting the rats. And then I check the triggers, and it says the awakened patrollers, the cruisers, are the triggers. So I'm gonna lock up the frigate first. And then I orbit the awakened patroller at 3K. 3K allows the beams with Gleam to still track it, the awakened patroller, while still sort of getting under the guns of the sleeper rats, and also maintaining top speed. Throughout this time, as always, you want to be continually descanning. So one thing you may want to keep in mind is of newts and be wary of them, because this fit is active tank, so newts will hurt you a lot. As you can see, the sleeper frigs get one-shotted, and the cruisers also absolutely melt under the fire. And the thing that makes this fit work is that this is a Wolf-Rayet wormhole, which means that it boosts, I believe, it boosts the stats of armor, and it also boosts small turret, small weapon damage. So, for example, these beam lasers will do a lot more damage than they normally do. And before you get into range, you can switch to other laser crystals, for example, standard, to shoot it. And then once you get in range, for max DPS, you want to use Gleam. Alright, and I'm finishing up the first wave here. For this next one, since there's a battleship, I want to spiral in. So by doing, I align my camera with the battleship, and I click around halfway, and I check the trigger, and I see the cruisers are the triggers. So, and I'm taking quite a bit of damage here, so I'm switching to defensive mode. So, how the triggers work is that it's always when you kill the last one, the last type of that rat, that the next wave is triggered. So what you can do is that you can leave all of the rats alive except for one of that type, to minimize DPS if those rats are problematic for different various reasons. For example, possibly DPS or newts. Right now, as I get closer, I'm going to switch to standard. And next, I'm going to be orbiting the battleship. So now it's in range, and so I'm going to switch to Gleam now for maximum DPS. So these C13 wormholes, they're always Wolf-Rayet effect, which, as I discussed earlier, will boost the armor stats and the stats of small weapons, making the Confessor one of the best ships to use for C13 ratting. And C13s are only allow very small ships to enter, so that means they only allow up to destroyers, I believe, to enter, so no cruisers. So this greatly decreases the likelihood of you getting ganked, because you won't because cruisers like the Stratios won't be able to come in, and however, because it's frigates only, there's going to be a lot of signatures, which means there's going to be a lot of connections to other different wormholes or areas in space, which means the likelihood of getting ganked is still considerable, so you need to keep that in mind. So this is the final wave of the perimeter hanger, and I'm going to switch to Aurora to start plinking down these rats here. And as you can see, the Wolfray effects are absolutely tremendous. They boost the DPS to ridiculous amounts. A good practice before going into a hole such as this is to check the Z-kill board to see if there's any reoccurring activity, because although game mechanics make it harder to live here, because no one can anchor structures on shattered wormholes, it's still possible that they live out of a ship in here, so you probably want to see if there's previous resonance here, and um, if there's recent activity, you might want to leave. Right, and so this is the last battleship, and as you can see, the battleship can't track me at all, so it's not hitting with its turrets. However, it's hitting with its missiles, but the afterburner helps sig tank that, and the dead space rep is more than enough to rep up any damage that the Confessor may take. So sharpshooter mode, generally for easier sites you want to be in this, because it helps boost your DPS, thus decreasing site completion time, but always switch to defensive mode if you're having trouble tanking. And so I just completed a perimeter hanger, and I will return to loot and salvage. Wrecks like this around your MTU. So now what you do is you go to MTU tab, the loot tab, and what you do now is you salvage the wrecks for their loot. At this point, it's probably a good idea to start and try and loot the MTU. And I scoop it to my cargo hold. While doing this, it would be wise to continue descanning for possible threats. and you keep on salvaging, and you end up with nice salvage such as these things.